Hello, Instagram, Facebook. This is your boo girl, Boo Tiffany, coming to you. Imagine yourself being in self-quarantine, not a week, not a month, not even a year, but 12 years. You have to self-distance yourself for over 12 years due to an illness that the doctors cannot heal. You have to declare yourself unclean. Would you be able to withstand 12 years in self-quarantine and social distancing? We're going to tackle that question. There is a woman in the Bible, the Word of God says that she had an issue. She had an illness. She had an issue with blood. She had blood flowing from her body that was uncontrollable. And in those days, if you were like that, you were considered to be unclean. So the Word of God said that this lady, she was desperate to be healed. She wanted to be healed because this caused her to have to self-quarantine and distance herself from her loved ones, her friends. So this lady, she took her money and she went to every specialist, every doctor, the top doctors in her area and other areas, looking for an answer, and she was desperate. But every doctor that she would go to, unfortunately, they had never dealt with such a disease, such as what we're dealing with now with coronavirus. She had a blood flow that they could not stop the flow. They could not help her. And she spent all of her money, and she began to grow weary because she knew if she did not stop this blood flow, eventually it would take her life. This woman, in the natural, out of her desperation, she did everything humanly possible to save her life. She spent all of her money. She exasperated all of her funds, all of her savings, to no avail. But one day, Jesus was passing through her community. She hadn't had no relationship with Jesus Christ. Matter of fact, I know that she was not a believer because of what Jesus said to her. So this woman, out of her desperation, out of people's desperation for this coronavirus, she wanted to live. She wanted to live, and she wanted to live out all of her days. So she heard the crowds outside of her house because Jesus was so happened to be passing by. He was so happened to be available at the right place at the right time. This lady knew that I am desperate and I need to be healed. And I have heard stories about this Jewish man that are healing people. So this lady made a conscious decision. You know, if I sit here, I'm gonna die. If I don't have change in my life, I'm gonna die. This woman had done everything humanly possible to save her life. She had went to every doctor. She was desperate, and she said to herself, I don't want to die like this. I don't want to die bleeding slowly to death. I want to live. And at that time, she heard a loud crowd outside of her house. She heard a loud crowd of people making noise, and she began to look out of her window, and then she began to say, is that the man that I heard that has been healing the blind and the lame and casting demons out of people? And could that be the man? And something rose up inside of her out of desperation, because she said, if I don't get healing, I'm gonna die, because there is no cure for this what I have, and I'm gonna give this man a try because I heard good things about him. Even though I don't know him, I don't have anything to lose. You know what? I don't want to die to coronavirus. I don't want to bleed to death. I don't want this coronavirus to flood out my lungs. And this Jesus is passing by at the right place at the right time. So I think I'm gonna give him a try. Keep in mind, this woman was under self-quarantine. She was ordered to do social distancing due to her illness. She was not allowed to be in crowds of people. She was ordered to self-distance herself from everyone. She was considered unclean. So I can imagine this lady battling, what am I going to do? If I sit here, I'm going to die. But this man is passing by, and I may not ever get this chance again. It might be too late. You know, tomorrow may be too late. So I'm going to, I'm going to take a chance, even though I know I'm unclean, even though I know I'm unworthy, even though I've been ordered to self-quarantine, but I can't sit here and die. If I don't try, I'm gonna die in my situation. I want to respect the rules and the law, but you know what? This is my life in the balance, and Jesus is passing by, and this is my only hope, because I've tried man. I put my faith in man, and they have disappointed. I appreciate the doctors, but they have disappointed. They were not able to help me. My mother, my father, my sister, and brother were not able to help me. So maybe, just maybe, if I could just sneak my way through the crowd, and if I could just get to him, I don't have to see his face. If I could just sneak my way through the crowds to so many people, maybe they won't recognize me because I'll put on a cloak, I'll cover my face. Maybe if I could just touch the hem of his garment, maybe, just maybe, something can happen. You know, I don't have anything to lose, so I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna do like the law tells me, and I'm gonna put my mask on. I'm gonna keep myself covered, but I gotta get to Jesus, because if I don't get to him, I'm gonna die in this situation. I'm gonna die, and I'm desperate. I can imagine this woman full of fear, full of she was anxious and she was full of fear, but she was desperate. And as she covered herself, she made her way through the crowd. And the people, they were so desperate for their own needs. They were so desperate to get something from Jesus. They didn't recognize her because she covered herself. She kept her head down. She had a spirit of humility. She was humble. She was humble and she was desperate. And she was hungering and thirsting after Christ. She was hungering and thirsting after Jesus. And she made her way through the crowd. She got down low. See, sometimes you got to get down in a lowly state. You got to get down in a state of lowliness, of meekness, and you got to humble yourself before the Lord. And she humbled herself and she crawled and she made her way to the feet of Jesus, because at the feet of Jesus is the highest place of worship. And she just touched him. She touched him with all she had. She touched him with humility. She touched him with grace. She touched him with love. She touched him out of desperation. This woman found herself at the feet of Jesus in a state of humility, in a state of desperation. And she cried out to the Lord with all of her heart. And she touched Jesus in such a powerful way that the word of God said when she touched him, Jesus went back and he said, "Who touched me? Who touched me?" And the disciples were, "What do you mean, who touched you? There's so many people here." No, who is that? Who was that who just touched me? Because when she touched me, all of the power left out of my body, all of my anointing. Who was that who touched me? And when Jesus looked down, he found this woman in the spirit of humility. And when he saw her, Jesus was so moved with compassion. And he healed her. And not only did he heal her, but he called her daughter. Because not only did she receive her healing that day, but she received salvation. She received her name in the Lamb's Book of Life. She touched Jesus in such a powerful way. Jesus said, "Oh, what faith. Your faith has healed you, my daughter. You are made whole. Take off this mask. You are no longer in self-quarantine. You are no longer social distancing, because you are my daughter. You are a daughter now. So be healed. Go and be healed, because you are clean, because I have made you clean." Because this woman came after Jesus with everything she had, with all of her heart. The word of God said, "If you seek me, you will find me." Jesus said, "Come unto me, all who are weary. Take my yoke and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I am meek. He is meek. He was meek. He was gracious to this woman. Why? Simply because she got tired of being sick and tired of being in her situation. She got sick and tired of the world not able to give her the answers, not able to deliver. No one could help her. And she knew, if I stay in this condition, if I stay in this state, I'm gonna die here. And I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to live. I have my life ahead of me. And she knew that the only answer was Jesus Christ. A lot of you today, if you're out there, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're sick in your body, try Jesus. Come after Jesus, just like this lady. You've tried every doctor. They can't heal your dialysis. They can't heal your cancer. But Jesus can. Seek him with all of your heart. Jesus stopped everything he was doing. He stopped in the middle of the crowd. There were so many people around him. You know, there's so many people around him. So many people say they're Christians. So many people are making the noise. But Jesus is looking for the ones who really have faith, who really are hungering and thirsting after him. That's why he said in the last days, I'm looking for the true worshipers. This woman worshiped Jesus at his feet. Her tears, her desperation, her love, her hunger for him brought her swift healing. And not only that, she received salvation. Try Jesus today. Jesus saves, but he heals, delivers, and he also sets free. God bless you. I love you so much. God bless you.
Someone just hold me, don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me, 'cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 On the ocean, turn water into wine. We bury our emotion and pretend that we're just fine. The only way to live now is to know you're gonna fly. To listen to the lying lives and their lies. I know I'm superwoman, I know I'm strong, I know I've got this 'cause I've had it all along.